And good evening, everybody, from wherever you are tonight. I have a lot of openings. The one you all know me for uh, is famous. I'm going to explain that one to you today. But today, I'm going to talk to you about the longest conversation in the pagan world, and probably one of the most meaningful. It started August 11th, 1998, on a little site called About.com, because email groups such as the Daily Spell and the Corellian First Degree School couldn't handle the conversations anymore because they were bulky and slow. And while Don and the early mentors tried to answer them as best they could, they just were too slow. And of course, there was no phone service like we have today. I mean, the it would be that year, only the year before the smartphone, not the cell phone, but the smartphone got introduced.
Yeah.
And so we began, and with the permission of About.com, an early site that was an information site, an early Wikipedia site,
Hmm.
and Patty Wigginton gave us Monday nights, and we spent about 18 months on that before we migrated to our own on the Daily Spell and then on
Hmm.
Witch School. But it
Yeah.
has been a continuous conversation with very few, I mean, a couple of weeklies, very few not that. And I sat down and figured it out today.
Hmm.
That means there have been more than 1,000 of these Monday night chats.
Oh, yes.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's been every Monday night since April 11th, 1998,
Hmm.
with very, very few nights off. There have been occasions that there's been a Monday off.
And so now to introduce the host of that, Reverend Don Lewis.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been hosting it all that time.
Hmm.
And as Ed was saying, it started on About.com. It was on the Daily Spell site. Later, it was on the Witch School site. Now it's at RevDonLewis.com,
Hmm.
which is my Patreon site. But it's still
And
the
we
same chat room. It's still the same ongoing conversation.
and well, what do you talk about on that?
Everything. Um, and suddenly I'm the only one on screen. But no, we talk about everything. In fact,
I wanted to give the attention to you. Hmm?
but as I was saying, we talk about everything. Sometimes it's a deep metaphysical conversation. Sometimes it's a light personal conversation. We talk about everything from reincarnation to recipes to to problems with neighbors and dogs. Um, and we have, throughout that period, different people, obviously, who come. Currently, we have about 6 people who can be counted upon to be there every week, uh, with the number sometimes going up considerably higher, and several animals who come along with their people, and including Elvis and Hella.
Hmm.
And we talk about all kinds of things. When we first started, I think people were looking for it to be more of a seminar where I instructed on subjects, but we
Well,
set it up from the start to be a conversation instead.
so a lot of people at the time were taking the daily spell, which was
Hmm.
1998. We were sending out the first degree spells more directly before we had it on a site called Telepathic Media, a
Hmm.
very page by page, button by button look at it. But with their materials, they made the Corellian materials that, and originally it's about.com slash pagan page because it had many, many, many different subjects.
Yes.
Um,
I
and then,
imagine a lot of people do not remember about.com today.
no,
It was a big thing at the time. And in
sure.
fact, I imagine most of the people watching this don't remember what the internet was like at that time because it was
Hmm.
very different. You were pointing out we didn't have internet phone service or videos like this. Videos at that time, if you could load up a video, but it took forever to load it up and forever to load it down. Um, it was all much slower. and far more primitive than it is today. So having
Yep.
the chat room gave people a way to have instantaneous communication, whereas otherwise they were communicating by group lists and emails.
And we were doing that too at the time. We were
Oh yes.
sending out the list through the Daily Spell, which had thousands of people. It ended up with thousands of people on it. That's another story, but it is a part of this story in the
Mm-hmm.
sense of e-groups and then Yahoo groups. I think it was by that point. I think it just had turned into Yahoo groups. Um, something along that line.
Mm-hmm.
Um, people said, "Why don't you go to
Lots
your..."
of things turned into new things, and lots of them are just gone now.
Yeah, about.com. Where's it go to? People magazine.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it made tremendous traffic, so they just transfer the traffic.
Yeah.
Um, and so we got into about.com and we made the various things, including up to now Zoom. How do people
Mm-hmm.
join this conversation?
If you want to join the conversation, you can join my Patreon at revdonlewis.com
Mm-hmm.
um, for a minimum of $5 a month. After I retired as chancellor of Witch School and chancellor of the Corellian tradition, I moved the chat room to my Patreon,
Mm-hmm.
and all levels of paid members can join the chat.
And that was important because you did it for until 2 years ago, like you said,
Mm-hmm.
for
Yeah,
free every night.
yeah,
And
yeah.
so,
Every week.
and yet, this is probably one of the most influential conversations in the pagan world.
Mm-hmm.
I
It
think,
certainly can be.
um, I think in the sense of that a lot of leadership has come through that weren't
Mm-hmm.
leadership when they joined.
That's true.
Uh, a lot of the witch wars that had developed over the years got settled in these rooms.
Yeah, sometimes
Uh,
very colorfully so.
hmm Sometimes some of the great events that would happen in the community were discussed in this,
Mm-hmm.
such as CEM's the short span of CEM broadcasting during the COVID years. It was an emergency
Mm-hmm.
project came
Yeah,
out of the chat rooms.
yeah. I do have a tendency to announce new projects there first,
Mm-hmm.
and discuss ideas that I might be working on. And then,
And so,
it all depends on the week.
so people who do go to your conversations,
Mm-hmm.
um, people who do go to the conversations really can get real answers and more importantly their outcomes, the way things that can
Mm-hmm.
happen for them are greatly improved.
Mm-hmm. It's I mean, it's very interesting to look back over the years and see all of the things that have come through and come out of the chat room. But in the end, it's all about the people who are there, what they want to put into it, what they want to take away from it. Like I say, sometimes we get into very deep subjects, and other times we're just a group of friends getting together.
hmm and it is about community and empathy. I'm telling you,
Mm-hmm.
all Corellians, if you're interested in this, you should join.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You should just join, and even if you only go once a month, that sort of thing.
There are people who do that.
hmm it's well worth your time and effort, time being in a component and that sort of thing. So, my last question on this before we move on to our jamboree of the day. So many things are happening.
Yep.
It's February 3rd. Tomorrow, Venus moves into Pisces on February 10th. And of course, and what is February 10th? Ed's annual pancake celebration.
Yes.
I started putting out the memes today. Uh, but we'll talk about it after this. That's my last question. At what level of training, study should you be to enter your chat room? Because
Oh, anybody.
it sounds very intimidating to somebody who's just starting out.
There are people who have reacted to it that way, but no, it's really just a conversation. And you don't have to have any kind of background to be welcomed in and take part in the conversation.
And in fact, it's actually, in my opinion, one of the
Mm-hmm.
great ways to get started on
Yeah.
this.
It would be a very good way to get started because there are people present with a lot of experience that you can
Hmm.
talk to, but it's not at all required, and not something that's going to be exclusionary toward people who don't have that background. Because again, we're basically a group of friends who come together and talk.
Even new friends. So
Yeah,
that's
even
Reverend
new
Don. It's reverendonlewis.com.
friends.
And yeah, there is
REVDONLEWIS.com.
right. And check it out. I mean, try it for a month. What's the
Yeah.
harm? Yeah, that sort of thing. And you will see what you can learn. And so we're going to move on to our next statement of the day. Oh, Mr. Astrologer, can you? So people have been asking me. Today's February 3rd. This is another
Mhm.
manifestation day. I've got two separate questions.
Okay.
One, let's take it in this order. Are there too many memes about astrological events on a daily basis, or do you like them?
Um, as long as you don't, as long as you don't take them for more than they're worth, I think they're fine.
Mhm.
I do notice that people try to make every astrological event into something that's never happened before or won't happen again for 1,000 years, and that's usually not the case.
Mhm.
Um, I do think that this is rather a pivotal time, but it's still astrology as it always is. Um,
So,
it changes constantly. The planets are always moving about.
okay. For all to be honest, I am an astrological. I'm an astrology reader, a horoscope reader,
Yes,
and
you are.
they've increased by the number of them. I got more than I've ever had increase on them. I want to talk more about utilizing some of those energies more. But
It's very popular at the moment.
what's happening right now? We're moving into, 2 days ago was a full moon, the snow moon, which is common.
Hmm.
The intensity of it. There's a lot of intensity now. I know on my birthday, Venus Pancake Day,
Hmm.
uh, is Venus into Pisces. For
Hmm.
my personal sign as an Aquarius, they're shredding me and saying, "Oh, you have to give up your entire past and reinvent yourself." And
Yeah,
no one's there to do.
for Aquarius, this is very much a pivotal time because there have been so many different planets moving through it or staying in it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Add to that people's personal charts where they also have aspects to those planets um, that are unique to them. It can make it a very pivotal time. Some people are seeing this um, as relevant to the idea of the age of Aquarius, but that's really a long-term process, in my opinion. So relevant, yes, but one moment of relevance. But we have a lot of things that are in Aquarius right now. You mentioned that Venus and Mercury are both going into Pisces.
Mm-hmm.
Aquarius is a sign of idealism, a sign of concern with the world and humanity, um, a sign of abstract thought.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Pisces is very emotional by comparison, very spiritual, and when badly aspected, can be a little delusional. So
Mm-hmm.
the movement of Mercury and Venus from Aquarius into Pisces will, for some people, give them a greater clarity on their spirituality and their empathy for other people. For other people, it's going to take their clarity away and leave them feeling very unfocused. It all depends on um, how your personal chart is set up.
Mm-hmm.
But for the world at large, all of those different things will be emphasized.
And so with my Grand Cross, oh yeah, my I've always had a fairly favorable astrological signs,
Hmm.
stellums and all sorts of different things. But this one is synchronizing, and for me, I am going.
Hmm.
I've become, and it says one of the things that it's saying is shredding my mask and my authenticity. And people really don't know a lot about me. They
Hmm.
know a lot about what I
Well, they know
do.
all about your reputation,
Oh, my reputation, which has
but
more
it has
fun
a
than
much
I do.
better time than you do.
Yep, it does. I've been listening to stories. I've actually been in places where they didn't know me, where they
Yeah.
were talking about me because I was a speaker or something else.
Uh,
And I said after, can I meet this dude? He sounds like a lot, and either he sounds like a total fun or he's an asshole or whatever. But I want to meet this dude. I said, and what happened next? Um, and ties into all rumors are true about me, regardless of the facts.
yeah.
And and there's one more that they have says, don't get into Ed's way; he'll run you over.
Well,
Um,
that's true.
that's true. I've heard people say that about Alan. Says that about me.
Yeah. No,
He says,
Alan would know.
That's it. But let's go ahead and I'm going to talk about the great. We decided on a name,
Yep.
the Great Pagan Library,
Yes.
and why not? That's what it's going to be.
Well, I mean, that's what the constituency is.
And so the number one question is, why does it have to be pagan? I mean, that's the biggest question. And
As opposed to what? I mean, if you do not put a limit to your definition, it's going to be very hard to fulfill it.
somebody says, why don't you call it just the Great Library? And I go, and
Compared
it
to the
does
Library of Congress, how are you going to do that?
right. And I go,
Compared to the Library of the Vatican, how are you going to do that?
well, spend some time on it. We could possibly do it. It may take us a couple of hundred years, and that's the point.
Hmm.
We've discovered, and after all of my looking at systems and styles and processes of
Hmm.
enduring understanding, it is in thought.
Hmm.
You have to accept at least some levels of a paradigm for a core of thought.
Hmm.
And it can change and it can grow, it can multiply, or it can be restrictive. Who knows? We might be 2,000 years from now, the most, paganism, Corellianism could be the most restrictive religion around.
It
You
could be.
know, it depends on the orthodoxies, or we win this game by constantly showing that life renews, that life endures no matter what.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Well, if you look at the history of religion,
Hmm.
the longer any given movement goes, the more diverse it becomes.
Hmm.
Even if some branches become fossilized, new branches arise.
Albert Hubbard says there are no new religions how does he say? There are no new religions on in the world. They are branches of another one before it. And I always like
Yeah.
that state. Yeah,
Hmm.
go ahead.
Well, they say there's nothing new under the sun,
And I don't
and
believe that
largely that's
either.
true.
I don't believe that one either. So I think we're moving into it. So the Great Pagan Library
Yeah.
is going to be in Danville, Illinois, in the Cloud, in Iron Mountain, and a few
Hmm.
other places. It is going to be fully physical.
Yeah.
We already have 800. So one of the
We have
things
a
that
good number of books.
so let's talk about the pain of the library, our personal pain of the library.
Hmm.
And so we spent a great deal of time building a library. You had
Oh
us.
yeah, we had a gigantic library, and anyone who remembers
Hmm.
my videos of previous years will remember the library as my backdrop, and that was
And
only a portion of it.
right, but because of elements that happened due to your health condition, in
Hmm.
order to move you and also to keep you out of medical debt,
Yeah.
hmm,
Hmm.
and you came through it. Unlike a lot of Americans, you were able to get through without medical debt, not
Hmm.
because of it, but because we sold the library. We
In
kept
large
the eight,
part, yes.
and we kept 800 or so books that
Hmm.
we have stored that are like the ones that are not replaceable. Hmm?
Yes.
They were not replaceable. We didn't want to dare put them out to the market. We put a lot of great books, and we
Hmm.
were very grateful that people bought them to allow us to move on and handle all the excess medical and all that happened to Danville, Illinois.
Yes.
I had to sell all my collection of first editions, even
Mm-hmm.
my signed first editions. My
Mm-hmm.
Buckland signed first edition.
Mm-hmm.
It pained me. It hurt me. I mean, but we had
Yeah.
always planned that to be the Great Library.
Mm-hmm.
That we were going to finally settle down, and that's one of the things why we're in Florida, in Salem.
Mm-hmm.
We're looking for spaces, and then the Spirit told us to come home.
Yep.
And so we have 800 books right now.
Mm-hmm.
And so let's go over how this is going to work. It's going to be in Danville, Illinois. Right now, we're beginning to look for a property, and we're going to need to do a capital raise.
Yes.
We need to raise capital to buy the facility. We can temporarily rent one,
Mm-hmm.
right? Once we
Yeah.
get a year's rent in advance, before us pull the trigger, we want a
Mm-hmm.
year's rent in advance just to get safety. We know the rules about long-term safety, and
Yeah.
with that we would like to buy it, and we would like to buy it without a mortgage. And in
Yes.
Danville, Illinois, that is fully possible. It's not a
Yes, it
maybe
is.
or an if. Houses go for anywhere, fixer ups for
Mm-hmm.
$15,000. Good quality houses and small storefronts, 60, 80, $100,000.
Mm-hmm.
So we're working towards that. So that is our first job, to find a facility. We are accepting donations right now of books. You have a books you want to send, we please send them to us. We'll DM us, and we'll give you the address to send them to. And
Mm-hmm.
we have a climate controlled space to store them in.
Yes.
And that includes tarot cards, your photographs of your temples that you want to
Yeah.
store, diaries, books of shadows, even handwritten. Those will go into our permanent record keeping, and some of those will be digitized so that they're available around the world, because we will be very decentralized. And we want people also build libraries in their own areas. We never want to happen again. And we'll talk about other ways to preserve. But the Great Pagan Library wants to have other branches.
Mm-hmm.
But first, we have to build the first one, which requires us to getting a facility that we control for the long time. And this is
Yes.
the foundation of the Witch College, the pagan campus we keep talking about in Danville, a
Mm-hmm.
library. And we would like to see it by September being allowed to identify scholars with serious intent to be able to come and visit. And hopefully, as soon as we can, open it to more of a public.
Yeah.
But right now, in our first goal, and I told people this, the space we want wants to have 10,000 feet of shelf space.
Yes.
And people go, what do you mean by that? It says shelf space is one, you can have multiple shelves on a wall.
Yeah.
It isn't about how tall it is about how long it is that it can hold books.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're looking at 10,000 linear feet of shelving, different sizes, different shapes. And that will be hold on an average 8 books to a foot.
Yeah.
It'll allow us to hold 80,000 books.
Mm-hmm.
And we really think that's our first real goal. We want to get
Yeah.
5,000 this year and get up to about 80,000. Okay. How we're going to acquire our books? You can donate them. Also, I want a whole tarot card room.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think tarot cards, they're very valuable. Some of them are not. History and tarot books. And if you want to sponsor something, you want your tradition guaranteed in there, please send us the books. And yes,
Yeah.
we're going to accept cash donations to help build this out. I'm more or less looking at it. A carpenter told me it would be, to do it right, it's going to cost us it's going to cost us $6 per every 4 feet.
Okay.
Hmm. He says it's the cost of the wood, cost of materials, cost of the construction. But
Yeah.
he estimated to be and he goes, well, what is it? I said about $1.50 a foot
Mm-hmm.
of linear space. So if you have 10 feet of books, you want to make sure guarantees there, right?
Yeah.
That would be good for you to donate that much to help us on capital. Because capital, we don't have to recover, we don't have to protect, we don't have to store. We use it for physical things to become permanent.
Mm-hmm.
Different from revenue, and we'll talk about that in a minute. The other way we're going to acquire books is that we're going to purchase them.
Yes.
And so some of them will purchase. Someone will purchase, and of course that's important. We will
Hmm.
be. Some of the rarest books we will not get by accident or by donation, except rarely. And in years from now, when we are proven, I expect within 5 years, once we are a proven commodity, and
Yeah.
this is important, that is going to be secure the best we can in any chaotic world,
Hmm.
uh, that we're secure for a very long time. I suspect those even the rare books will be donated to us, but we
Yeah.
have to
I
go.
mean, some of that has happened in the past.
Yeah, and we have to be
Hmm.
worthy of that. So we
Yes.
have to make sure. So capital investment, we'll probably maybe do a GoFundMe. We'll talk about some other ways, but we are now looking for it. If you have a house or a property in Danville you want to donate, we can make arrangements, tax
Yes.
deductibility, and all that. All right. So they say, and we're going to buy books.
Hmm.
We're mostly buying books through Gaia Thrift,
Yes.
right? One of the things is that Gaia Thrift is our revenue source, which is a fully sustainable and long-term sustainable as long as we have the problem of overreduction.
Hmm.
And what it'll do is it'll acquire goods, and this is at the Corellian Church fundraiser, which is sponsoring the library, and people can donate goods, goods that they
Hmm.
have. People, you know, including pagan goods, which most thrift stores, if you're not careful, will throw them out
Hmm.
because a lot of them are run by Christian organizations.
Yes.
And I'm not saying this to condemn them.
No,
Occasionally, you do.
but it is a thing.
It is a thing. But if you can donate your goods to us, we will. And for those elders who have libraries, big libraries, we will then help you sell them.
Hmm.
You can give away some of it, you can donate some of it, and we can help you sell some of it for your temple, for yourself, whatever. Don't let your kids get a hold of it unless you know that they're of the family and the faith. Pray, blessed be
Hmm.
for that, right?
Yeah. But how many times has a pagan elder died and their children were not following the same path and simply got rid of everything? One of the earliest ones that I can think of, I talk sometimes about the Lawrence Museum.
Mm-hmm.
People who are not familiar with the Lawrence Museum, it was a museum of magic and witchcraft, specifically religious witchcraft, in the city of Galveston, Indiana, or
Mm-hmm.
town of Galveston, Indiana, that was open from 1939 to 1989.
Mm-hmm.
And it had all sorts of interesting artifacts in it. And what a group of those artifacts came from a woman called the Voodoo Queen of Kokomo. She had been a prominent um, Afro-diasporic figure in Kokomo, Indiana, who died, I want to say, around 1955. She had been a friend of the Lawrence family, and she, um, when she died, her family wanted to get rid of all of her things. They were not following in her spiritual footsteps. They were afraid, and they called the Lawrences to come and take them all. And one of the things that they were very upset about is that before this, they had painted over the symbols on the mirror that she had. She had a mirror that was surrounded by symbols, but they were afraid of it, so they painted them over before giving it to the museum. But this is something that happens in families all the time. Um, if the children are not following the elders' path, they will not venerate the things that are left behind. One of the things we used to talk about frequently, the late Victoria Carlson,
Mm-hmm.
beloved Victoria Carlson in Chicago, would talk about how this happened with people's funerals, particularly back in the 70s and 80s. And she talked in particular about a couple of pagan leaders in the Chicago area who, when they died, their Christian families came in and gave them the Christian funeral that their pagan friends had no place at.
That's been
Their
a big
temple
fight.
members had no place at.
That's one of the things we've had to fight back at and
Yeah.
instruct people on and say, hey, make sure you have a will, make sure you have a statement,
Hmm.
have a priest picked up.
Yeah.
Um, my my home Gardnerian temple is
Mm-hmm.
probably a perfect example of this, too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Temple of Sacred Stones. They collected stones from,
Mm-hmm.
down at
They have a
Cole.
vast collection of artwork,
Vast collection of artwork, include pieces of yours,
mm-hmm, including
two
pieces of
pieces,
mine.
yeah, and stones from all over the place. And this is my home temple.
Mm-hmm.
But when she passed away, within 2 months, it was gone.
Yeah.
And nobody knows really where it went. And we know where some of it went. Some of it, the temples took out. And, it's
Mm-hmm.
kind of that part I don't mind.
Yeah.
But the real pieces were never set up again as an altar. Never
No.
again. Or if they did, it was never to the public. And this is a temple that ran for 25 years in the city of Chicago as
Mm-hmm.
one of the earliest examples of public ministry by pagan priest and priestess,
Yeah.
or a priestess and priest, I should say.
Yes.
Donna was in charge of everything, Reverend Donna. Mhm.
Yes.
And she's my third degree mother. I mean, what else
Mm-hmm.
can I say? But that's gone. So
Yeah.
between the pain of our own events of losing a library that we spent years building, a beautiful library, and
Mm-hmm.
we're grateful to everyone who bought it so that we could do this, and so we can end up out of debt. Spirit provided. I mean,
Yeah.
and what's the lesson in that, folks? How valuable is your library?
Well, that's true.
I mean, yeah, right.
Mm-hmm.
Um, to the next step, which we heard about temples and libraries being wasted, how
Mm-hmm.
can we not try to rebuild it? That pain, that wound, that terrible, terrible wound, and there are some of us who still are mad about the various libraries burning all over the world. You mentioned the great library, the burning of the great library of Hippothea. Oh yeah,
Mm-hmm.
um, still wounds some of us. So there is that aspect of it. And so the last part of this is that we're going to have memberships and subscriptions so people can come. There'll probably be an admission fee. If you're
Mm-hmm.
not a member, supporting it directly month after month. We'll charge a visitor fee, not unreasonable, and you'll know about it way ahead of time.
Mm-hmm.
And will we give scholarships so people can get in? Sure. We're not probably in charge of researchers who are doing real serious researchers,
Mm-hmm.
except maybe a visitor's fee. And this will be all incorporated eventually in the capital. So once we get started, we're looking for capital now to build it, but we have plans both through Gaia Thrift. And so the donation of books, we'll take every book that we don't have, put it on the shelf. We will look if we need a second copy or a third copy for a lending library. There
Mm-hmm.
will become a point when we've got enough of that copy of the book. Unless we get a better copy,
Yeah.
we will then put that to Gaia Thrift to sell for the revenue of this library.
Yes.
So even if you think it's a common book, send it to us anyway,
Mm-hmm.
because we might keep it because it is. We will acknowledge this donation, and we can resell it to another library or another person who's building their library that
Mm-hmm.
wants it. Hmm?
Absolutely.
So that's another way we're going to do it. So from the donations of the books, we will keep every book that we need.
Mm-hmm.
I plan to have I want to have a copy of every pagan book in existence. That's why it's a Great Pagan Library.
Mm-hmm.
And I want a backup just in case. And I would like to have a lending one in the lending library. I mean, if at all possible.
Mm-hmm.
We want to meet the demand of the books. We're trying to make the books more available. It is the only way we do cultural change. Hmm?
Well, yes. And we talk about every pagan book ever published. If we're referring to the modern movement, that includes a lot of the things that were published underground.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of important history and information in those underground publications.
Mm-hmm.
And I would love to see us put a lot of that in there too.
Oh, I
Because a
expect.
lot of the people who try to write the history of the community,
Mm-hmm.
one, don't even know about those things. And if they do, they try to leave it out because it doesn't necessarily fit their narrative.
Well, the Wiccan Pagan, everything put out by the Wiccan Pagan Alliance, Press
Mm-hmm.
Alliance,
Yeah.
all those magazines, all of them, I
Mm-hmm.
want to make available. I mean, we've got,
Yeah.
and we're going to do some of that too. And so another part of our fundraiser will be publishing books. I
Mm-hmm.
fully expect us to bring back a copy of Wheel of Hecate. I want to bring out
Mm-hmm.
some of the copies of the A Team, the psychic magazine that we did,
Yeah.
and other materials like that. And if you have this type of material, please let us know. And we are going to digitize it. We'll talk more about
Mhm.
this later. I think all of this we can do so, but I want to thank you all. But if you really want to help, join Don's and find out more about what we're doing. Go to ReverendDonLewis.com. Join
Yes.
his Patreon. There'll be lots of ways to help, but today you can help by becoming a Patreon member of Don Lewis.
Yes. RevDonLewis.com.
Okay, Don, I'm going to give you the last word for anything that you want to do. After this lively conversation, what can you offer the world?
Oh, goodness. Well, everything we've talked about has to do with sharing information, has to do with education, either, well, mostly informally. But if I often see people who want to talk about how people should have better information or better teaching or better this or better that. Well, you only get that by providing it. You only get people who have better knowledge by providing that knowledge, by providing access to that knowledge. And that's what we're talking about. I mentioned people writing histories who are only familiar with certain particular aspects of the histories. And bringing the information together in a more tangible way, I think, is very important to the understanding of the future. And that I think would be my last word on it.
And there you go. I'll be back tomorrow with another episode of the Pagan Show, where I talk to the most interesting people about the most interesting projects, and I do the most dangerous thing in our community. I ask all the questions. Check out my Facebook page. You've given me over 250,000 views. Yeah, this last month. I appreciate it. Follow it. It's Ed the Pagan on the Facebook is the show. Ed A. Hubbard is the main thing. Thank you, Don.
Thank you.
And off
And
we
thank you,
go.
everybody.
And so until tomorrow.